Hello everyone, this is part 25 of What If Naruto's Mother Was Tsunade Senju, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Previously on Hope of the Senju clan. Standing in the middle of the arena, Genma watched as time ticked away until eventually his watch hit 2:05. Time's up, guess that is it for the Uchiha, the Tokubutsu Jonin thought. The deadline is up and Uchiha Sasuke has not arrived, therefore Genma said. But before he could finish speaking, a large whirlwind of leaves appeared in front of him. Once it died down, he saw Uchiha Sasuke and his sensei Hatake Kakashi standing back to one another, where Kakashi then looked over to Genma and said, "Sorry, are we late? Disclaimer, I do not and will not ever own Naruto or any of its characters. I only own the characters I created myself." In the arena, upon seeing the two tardy shinobi, the examiner Genma could only shake his head in amusement. "Name?" he asked, even though he knew it already who Sasuke was. Uchiha Sasuke, the raven-haired boy replied. Who was wearing his new attire, which was a black, one-pieced version of older outfit with many small arm belts adorning his left arm and similar bands around both legs. In the audience, with the arrival of the Uchiha heir, the crowd broke into a thunderous cheer, happy to see that the Uchiha had finally appeared. Sasuke-kun, Sakura said happily, when she saw the young Uchiha safe and sound. Yosh, he made it just in time, Lee said, who was sitting next to his teammate Tenten and his sensei Guy. In the cage box. Well now, it seems that he has finally arrived, the Mizukage said with an amused smile. It's about time, the Raikage scoffed, since he was rather annoyed with how long he had kept them waiting. But despite how annoyed he was still pleased that Sasuke had arrived in time, since now his plan for humiliating Konoha in the finals could work. When Jiraiya and Tsunade saw that Sasuke had finally arrived, they both glanced over at the Kazekage, who looked rather pleased, if not a little excited. They of course weren't the only who noticed this, as the former sensei the Sandaime saw the same look in the Tsunade's eyes, which made him more cautious of the man. In the finalist box. Geez, he caused everyone a lot of trouble and he doesn't look the least bit sorry about it, an annoyed Shikamaru thought. He's probably just waited until now to show up, just so that he could make a bigger entrance. And not a second to spare, yesh, an irritated Naruto thought when he saw Sasuke and Kakashi finally appear. I seriously hope Gigi or someone chews Kakashi-sensei out for being this later, as he held up whole finals and nearly got Sasuke disqualified. About time, said Karui, who was upset with the whole delay. Not to mention the fact that she was fighting the urge to punch Sai in the face, who was standing near her with his annoying fake smile. Looks like you just made it, Uchiha, Sai thought, as he looked down at the two Sharingan wielders, while ignoring Karu's angry glares. Finally he's appeared, now we have a chance at accomplishing our mission, Yugito thought before turning to Omoi, who just nodded. Looks like I'm up, Omoi muttered before he jumped over the railing and down to the arena. In the arena. Well, it's hard to ask this after we've entered the stage with such a flashy performance, but did Sasuke get disqualified? Asked an embarrassed Kakashi as he scratched his head nervously. At this Genma just shook his head in amusement and smiled slight. He must have caught your bad habit of being late. So is he. No he isn't, Sasuke match was put on hold, twice in fact, you both arrived just in time, so he didn't get disqualified. I'm glad to hear that, Kakashi said with a look of relief on his face. But there is something you should both know, Genma said suddenly with a serious tone, gaining both Sasuke's and Kakashi's attention. The other cages were not pleased with how late you both were and how we had to hold up the exam for you. So a penalty had to be placed on Sasuke for arriving late should you arrive in the given time. What sort of penalty? Kakashi asked with some concern. They have removed his chance at becoming Chunin. Regardless of how well he performs in the finals, he will not be promoted. When Kakashi heard this, the silvered-haired Jonin winced slightly, as he didn't think the Hokage would do something like this. But he quickly realized that he may not have had a choice, since the other cages would most likely have been greatly displeased with the hold-up. He also couldn't really blame the old Hokage, as he had been more than generous by delaying the match until now. They were lucky that the Hokage hadn't disqualified Sasuke at the very beginning. When Sasuke heard the news that he had lost his chance at becoming Chunin, he frowned slightly. Seeing this, Genma turned to the Uchiha. Do you want to compete or do you want to forfeit your match? It's your choice, kid, as regardless of what you choose, I'm afraid you won't make Chunin. When Genma said this, the raven-haired boy just smirked. I didn't train for the past month or come here just for the chance of becoming a Chunin. I came here to fight and that is what I intend to do. Hearing this, Genma smirked again. Fair enough. Well then, I'll take my leave then, Kakashi said before he wished Sasuke good luck and shunshin up to the stands. In the audience, after body flickering to the stands, Kakashi saw several familiar faces sitting in the front stands and decided to join them. Ohio, Yamato-kun, Kushina-sen, said Kakashi before he received a hard punch to his one exposed eye. Ooh, what was that for Kushina-senpai? Kakashi asked as he covered his new black eye. You know damn well why I did that, you idiot. Kushina rounded where she then smashed her fist down on Kakashi's head. You're over 2 hours late and you nearly got your student disqualified from the exam. A tie, one, said Kakashi as he crouched down on the ground holding his head in pain, with a very large lump on his head. When he looked up, he could see his former Anbu captain towering him with her arms crossed and angry look in her eyes. Her red hair flew wildly around her and a dark crimson-red aura surrounded her, making her appearance seem almost demonic. Please Kushina-senpai, it wasn't my fault, Wigwa. Kakashi said as he tried to explain why he was late, in the hope of avoiding the fury of the infamous Chishio no Habanero, red-hot-blooded habanero. Who could make even his late sensei, the Yondaime Hokage, cower in fear when faced with her wrath. But before he could finish speaking, the red-headed Jonin grabbed him by the collar of his flak jacket and lifted him up into the air. I don't want to hear any of your lame-ass excuse. Kushina yelled, do you not realize how much trouble you two caused by being late? But it's true, I was training Sasuke to master a new jutsu that he would need later on in the finals and we lost track of time. When we realized what day it was, we hurried back here as fast as we could, Kakashi said, hoping that he could ease Kushina's anger. Sadly though, it did not. In fact, it only made Kushina angrier, where she proceeded to shake Kakashi about like a rag doll. And you think that is a good enough excuse? Kushina shouted angrily. You're his freaking sensei, you moron, you're supposed to keep track of the days. I swear Kakashi, if you were still in Anbu under my command, I would have you running laps around Konoha until your legs fell off, and then assign you to guard duty on the Amno Kuni, Rain Country, border for a month, in a leaky old shack. Eventually though, Kushina let go of Kakashi, but it didn't mean he was off the hook, as Kushina continued to yell at Kakashi. It's your fault that Sasuke now lost his chance at being promoted. Wait, you know about that? Kakashi asked in surprise since he had only just heard it from Genma. Of course, before you arrived Shizune had gone up to talk to Tsunade, who told her what the other cages decided, where she then told us. You should be damn grateful that they didn't outright disqualify him at the start. Kushina rounded, although she was suspicious over why the Kazekage went to such lengths in keeping Sasuke in the exam. As Kushina continued to verbally berate the silver-haired Jonin over how late he was. Yamato, Shizune and the others sat back and enjoyed the show. As it wasn't every day that they would see Kakashi being scolded like this. Asuma, Kurani and Yamato all smirked at the sight while Shizune giggled. Anko on the other hand was in tears from laughing so much. Especially when Kakashi lowered his head in shame, like a young genin who was in trouble with his sensei, where he would nod his head every so often and say, yes ma'am, no ma'am, I know ma'am, I'm sorry ma'am, it won't happen again ma'am, as Kushina continued to reprimand him. At least until Kushina bashed him on the head again, telling him to stop calling her ma'am. She wasn't old enough to be called ma'am in her mind. Naturally Yamato was enjoying this sight most of all, given all the trouble Kakashi gave him back when they were still in Anbu together. The young genin however could not help pity Kakashi slightly, especially Kiba, who knew what Kakashi was going through right now. Damn, she is scary as Ka-chan if not worse, the young Inuzuka boy thought. Guess Senju doesn't have it so easy after all, with her as his sensei. Eventually after verbally tearing Kakashi apart, Kushina finally settled down and sat back down on her set. Sighing with relief that it was all over, Kakashi went to take the empty seat next to Shizune. But before he could even sit down, Kushina suddenly spoke. What do you think you're doing? the angry redhead said, as she glared at the one-eyed Jonin. I'm just taking my seat, a nervous Kakashi replied. You're not sitting there, seats are for people who are on time. You're sitting there, Kushina said as she pointed to the ground. But, Kakashi stuttered, but before he could say anything more, Kushina gave him another angry glare. Now, the former Anbu captain barked as she pointed to the ground again. That is unless you want to become my sparring partner for the next week. At this the copycat nin gulped and quickly took his seat on the cold hard ground, as he would rather do a dozen of Guy's stupid challenges than be Kushina's sparring partner, especially when she was angry. The woman was simply vicious when she was pissed. As Kakashi sat on the floor, a dark cloud of depression hung over the Sharingan user, where he stared down on the floor and started drawing circles on the ground with his index finger. You didn't have to get so angry, senpai, it's not like I meant to be late, a pouting Kakashi said. This was of course too much for the rest of the group to handle, where they all busted out laughing. At the sight of the famed copycat Kakashi acting like a 5-year-old, who had just been scolded by his mother and sent to the corner as punishment. Although no one dared make that comparison to Kushina, for fear that the redhead would turn her wrath on them. The Jonin Genin also joined in the laughter, where Choji spat out some chips from laughing, while Kiba actually fell off his seat from laughing so hard. Even Kushina herself spared a small smirk of satisfaction when she saw Kakashi act like this and thought, I still got it. In the arena. After Kakashi left the arena, Sasuke looked over to Omoi, who was slowly walking towards him and Genma. Once the two boys were facing one another, Genma spared a quick glance at each of them before, are you both ready? Both boys just nodded at this, as they were unwilling to take their eyes off one another. Okay, then let the final match of the first round begin. Genma yelled where he raised his arm up and swung it down to signal the beginning of the match. As soon as Genma gave the signal to go, the two boys took out their individual weapons, where Sasuke took out a kunai, while Omoi drew his katana. After which the two male shinobi raced towards one another. Once their weapons clashed with another, a battle for dominance began between the two of them, where they both tried to push the other back. Seeing that it would be pointless to continue like this, Sasuke allowed Omoi to push him back. He then fell backwards and spun around to Omoi's left and preformed a strong roundhouse kick, sending the dark-skinned boy skidding across the ground. Recovering quickly, Omoi quickly brought his katana forward to block any attack Sasuke would attempt. But by that time it was already too late, as Sasuke proved faster than Omoi anticipated and was already underneath him, where he performed a high-speed leg sweep with his right leg, causing the Kumo Genin to fall backwards. But before Omoi could even hit the ground, Sasuke brought his left leg up and spun in the opposition direction he did earlier, allowing him to perform a powerful reverse heel kick, causing Omoi to drop his katana and send him flying to the other end of the arena. Naturally, after seeing this, the crowd erupted into cheers, seeing that Sasuke was living up to his reputation and showing Omoi no mercy. But what the crowd failed to notice was the exploding note that Omoi had dropped on the ground as Sasuke kicked him away, which then exploded right below Sasuke after he kicked Omoi away. Naturally, after seeing the explosion, many of the people in the audience began to fear that the young Uchiha heir had been killed, including Sakura, who cried out Sasuke's name after seeing the explosion. Her concerns, although proved unwarranted, as after the explosion, Sasuke emerged out of the smoke from the explosion, slightly singed, but unharmed. After Sasuke emerged out of the smoke, Omoi suddenly reappeared right in front of him, with his katana in hand, and stabbed the Uchiha in the chest, before he could do anything to stop the other boy. But just when the Kumo nin thought he had won the match, Sasuke reverted into a wooden log. Shit, Omoi thought as he realized that Sasuke had replaced himself using the Kawarimi no Jutsu body replacement technique. After realizing that Sasuke had tricked him, Omoi immediately found himself under attack from several shuriken coming in from his left. But just as he skillfully deflected them with his katana, Omoi noticed something from the corner of his eye and quickly spun around to block a kunai stab from behind by Sasuke. After barely blocking Sasuke's sneak attack, Omoi then pushed the young Uchiha back and then leapt a few feet backwards so to gain some distance between the two of them. Damn, looks like the rumors about this guy being good were true. I can't afford to underestimate him or else I'll lose, or worse, be dead, the white-haired boy thought. After Omoi moved back from him, Sasuke then took out several shuriken from his pouch and threw them at Omoi, who of course deflected them with his katana. But when he deflected all the shuriken, Omoi found Sasuke right in front of, under his guard, where he then grabbed hold of both Omoi's wrist, preventing him from using his katana. "Looks like I have you," Sasuke said with a smirk, but was surprised to see Omoi smirk and say, "I wouldn't be so sure that." After which Omoi then spat his lollipop into Sasuke's face, causing the Uchiha to close his eyes momentarily, allowing Omoi to lift both his feet into the air and double kick Sasuke in the chest and him skidding backwards. Sasuke of course quickly recovered, where he then saw Omoi race towards him and preformed the Kumo-ru Omogiri, cloud-style front beheading technique and attempted to sever Sasuke's head with it. Wasting no time, Sasuke quickly jumped backwards to narrowly avoid the slash, although did receive a slight slash cut on his shirt. After avoiding Omoi's attack, Sasuke threw several kunai at him with exploding notes tied to them and caused them to explode right when Omoi was about to deflect them. When the notes exploded, Sasuke then took out a large Fuma Shuriken from his pouch. Once he had unfolded the Fuma Shuriken, a slightly singed Omoi appeared out of the smoke from the explosion, showing he had survived the explosion, just as the Uchiha suspected. Not wasting his chance, Sasuke then threw the oversized Shuriken at Kumo Nin, just as he emerged from the smoke. Unable to avoid the high projectile in time, Omoi could only watch as the large Shuriken flew towards him and cut him in two. But just when Sasuke thought he had won, Omoi reverted into lightning, revealing he was a lightning clone. A clone, Sasuke thought in surprise, before the real Omoi appeared to his right and performed an roundhouse kick right into Sasuke's face, sending the raven-haired boy crashing into nearby arena wall. The finalist box. "Alright, that's the way, Omoi," Kaori yelled as she punched her fist into the air, while her teammate Yugito just nodded and smiled. "That's what you get for underestimating Omoi Sasuke, he's not someone you can take lightly," the Naruto thought. In the arena, after crashing into the wall, Sasuke slowly picked himself up and wiped the blood from his lip after Omoi's kick and smirked. "I see, you're better than I thought, looks like I will have to bring this out," Sasuke said, where he then activated his Sharingan. "So that's the Sharingan," Omoi thought with a frown, after seeing the famed Dujutsu of the Uchiha clan, "I will have to be even careful now." Not wanting to give Sasuke any opportunity to use his Dujutsu against him, Omoi quickly moved forward and raced towards Sasuke with impressive speed. Wasting no time, Sasuke skillfully evaded Omoi's sword slash by jumping into the air and used the arena wall to propel himself away from Omoi into the middle of the arena. Seeing this, Omoi immediately spun and raced towards his opponent, who had taken another Fuma Shuriken out from his pouch and threw it at him. After Sasuke threw the oversized Shuriken, Omoi noticed by chance that there was a second Shuriken hidden in the shadow of the first. Realizing that Sasuke was using Cage Shuriken Jutsu, Shadow Shuriken technique, Omoi moved forward, skillfully deflected the two Shuriken in one quick motion. He then raced towards Sasuke, believing that the Uchiha was now vulnerable to an attack. But what Omoi didn't know was that he had fallen into Sasuke's trap, as the Uchiha had tied a thin line of shinobi wire to the Fuma Shuriken. He then used the shinobi wire to pull the Shuriken back after Omoi had deflected them with his katana, so that he would stab the Kumo Nin in the back. Seeing Sasuke tug at something, Omoi noticed the thin line of shinobi wire shining in the light and quickly realized that he had played right into Sasuke's hand. Knowing he had only seconds before the Fuma Shuriken hit him in the back, Omoi used the Kumo-ru Uragiri cloud-style reverse beheading, to spin around and sever the shinobi wire from the Fuma Shuriken and at the same time deflect the large projectiles. Sasuke although had predicted all this and had wanted Omoi to use the Kumo-ru Uragiri, as when he used the sword technique to deflect the Fuma Shuriken, he left himself exposed to attack from his raven-haired opponent, who performed 7 high-speed hand seals and yelled Kaiten, Gokakyu no Jutsu, fire style, great fireball technique, and spat out a large fireball at the now vulnerable Omoi. After spitting out the large fireball, Sasuke watches his attack flew towards Omoi and engulfed in him flames. Thinking he had won, Sasuke waited for the flames to die down, but to his surprise and confusion, all he saw was a badly burnt log lying in the middle of a small crater created by his attack. Before Sasuke could ponder on the matter further, he suddenly heard the sound of something flying through the air. Looking up, Sasuke was able to see several high-speed shuriken, flying towards him, thanks to his Sharingan. Realizing that somehow Omoi had somehow replaced himself before his attack hit, Sasuke quickly evaded the spinning projectiles. But to his surprise and confusion, he still received several light cuts on his arms, despite successfully avoiding the shuriken. Before he could put much more thought on the matter, he suddenly saw Omoi directly in front of him, who was just finishing doing some hand seals before holding out his hand and yelling, "Reigeki no Yari, lightning attack spear," causing a blast of lightning in the shape of a spear tip to erupt from his hand. Acting fast, Sasuke quickly jumped to his right, narrowly avoiding the deadly lightning spear, which hit the wall behind him and caused a small hole in the arena wall. "That was too close," Sasuke muttered, before he was forced to move again when he saw several kunai flying towards him. After avoiding the kunai, Sasuke barely had time to take out one of his own to block a horizontal slash from Omoi, who had just appeared in front of him. But what he didn't expect was Omoi's katana to be coated with lightning chakra and cut through his kunai like a hot knife through butter. Seeing this, Sasuke barely jumped back in time and threw his few remaining shuriken at Omoi, forcing the Kumo genin to jump back. "Damn, I almost had him," Omoi thought with some annoyance. "Now I understand," Sasuke said, after he gained some distance from Omoi, where the two boys were now at opposite end of the arena. "You channel your lightning affinity into your weapons to gain even more cutting power. Also, by adding your chakra to your weapons, you increase their cutting rang. That's how your shuriken were able to cut me when I avoided them. Pretty good, you catch on quick, I can see why they call you a prodigy." Omoi replied with a small smirk. "Yay, well, figuring it out was the easy part, the only problem is that I have to keep my distance from him. Since he can enhance the cutting power of that sword of his, making it difficult to get close to him. I could use what Kakashi taught me, and break that sword of his, but I want to keep that secret for a little longer. At least until I face either Haku, the Kumo girl Samui, or better yet Gaara," Sasuke thought. As Sasuke thought about how he should keep his distance from Omoi, the Kumo nin in question thought on doing the opposite, since he wasn't very good at fighting from long range. After about a minute or so of staring at one another, Omoi decided to make the first move, where he threw several kunai at Sasuke, hoping that they would keep Sasuke distracted long enough for him to get close enough to him and finishing off. Figuring what Omoi was doing already, Sasuke threw some of his own remaining kunai at Omoi, hitting them with pinpoint precision and deflecting him away. After which, in the space of only a few seconds, Sasuke performed the necessary hand seals and yelled Kaiten, Hosenka no Jutsu, fire style, Phoenix Sage fire technique. Where he then spat out a volley of small fireballs, which flew in an unpredictable manner, making it difficult for the Kumo boy to avoid them. After the attack ended, the arena ground had several scorch marks on the ground from the flames. Omoi was in a fairly rough state with his clothes slightly scorched. But luckily he had been able to avoid any serious harm from the flames, although gained very little ground. Before Omoi could plan his next move, he was surprised to see Sasuke perform another set of hand seals, one that was very familiar to him. When Sasuke finished the hand seals, he held out his hand and yelled, "Reigeki no Yari." "Shit. That's my technique," Omoi thought in surprise, before he narrowly avoided being hit by the lightning attack. "Crap, he must have used his Sharingan to copy my technique when he saw me use it." After barely avoiding the powerful lightning attack, Omoi saw several kunai flying towards him from Sasuke's direction. Knowing he couldn't avoid all them, Omoi used his Kumo-ru Mikizukijiri cloud-style 3 days moon beheading technique to deflect the multiple projectiles with one quick motion. But when he did this, Sasuke appeared behind him and delivered a sharp elbow to the back of Omoi's head, causing the young boy to fall forward. Fortunately though for the Kumo genin, he was able to remain conscious despite the hit he took to the back of his head, where he dropped several smoke bombs when he fell forward. As the smoke bombs exploded, the surrounding arena was filled with smoke. But it wasn't ordinary smoke, as mixed in with the smoke was pepper powder to blind Sasuke. Omoi had got this trick from Naruto, after remembering his first run-in with the blonde, and thought it would be a useful way to handle a dangerous opponent like Sasuke. After turning back around, Omoi saw Sasuke stumble out of the smoke, covering his eyes with his hand. "This match is mine," the dark-skinned boy thought, where he raced towards Sasuke with his katana, with the intent of ending this match. But just as Omoi swung his katana, Sasuke disappeared right before his eyes. "What the?" thought Omoi, before he saw Sasuke underneath him and kicked him right in the chin, sending the Kumo nin flying into the air. Before Omoi knew what happened, Sasuke used the cage Buyo shadow of the dancing leaf to match his movements in the air and appear behind him and hit a pressure point in Omoi's back, preventing him from moving. Sorry, but the same thing won't work on me twice, Sasuke commented. Naruto played the same trick on me before, so all I had to do was close my eyes until I was out of the smoke and pretend that you blinded me. Crap, Omoi thought as he realized he had been tricked by Sasuke, who then spun his leg around to hit Omoi on his right side, causing the elder boy to drop his katana. After which Sasuke then took advantage of the kick to counter spin and hit Omoi on his left side, causing the boy to fall towards the ground. Sasuke then continued his assault with a strong elbow to the chest and finished up with powerful drop kick while shouting, Shishi Renden, lion combo, sending Omoi crashing to the ground like a falling rock. When Omoi hit the ground, the Kumo genin cried out in pain and spat out a large amount of blood, as the damage done to his body was extensive. Once he had finished his attack, Sasuke gracefully landed next to Omoi and deactivated his Sharingan. After which he then looked over to Genma, who was slowly walking towards them. I think that you should call the match, he's done, Sasuke said, knowing that Omoi wouldn't be able to get up after that. After walking up to the two and looking down at the Kumo nin, he saw that Omoi was barely conscious and couldn't move his body, due to his injuries. I have to admit, that Uchiha kid isn't half bad, Genma thought before he looked up to the stands and said, Omoi of Kumogaku Hidden Cloud is unable to continue battling, the winner is Uchiha Sasuke of Konohagaka. With the audience. After Sasuke was declared the winner, the audience erupted into a thunderous applause, the loudest being Sakura, who cheered at the victory of her crush. As the audience continued to cheer Kushina and the others could hear people say things like, "Did you see how he handled that Kumo nin?" One person asked. "Yeah, not to mention how he copied his technique and used it against," another person said. "He great," a different person said. "Of course he's an Uchiha after all," yet another person said. "I bet in the final match, it's going to be the Uchiha heir versus the Senju heir." In the cage box. After Sasuke was declared the winner, the cages immediately began to discuss amongst themselves. "That was an interesting, wouldn't you agree, Hokage-sama, Mizukage-sama?" said the Kazekage. "Indeed it was Kazekage-sama," the Sandaime Hokage replied. "I concur," the Mizukage, who found Sasuke match quite entertaining. "What did you think of the match, Reikage-sama?" the Suna Kage asked as he turned to the Kumo Kage, who remained surprisingly silent. "I found the match to be acceptable," the bulky Kage answered with a small grunt. Although at the same time, the Reikage was silently cursing Konoha. His entire plan to humiliate Konoha was falling apart right front of his eyes. In fact, his plan was having the opposite effect, where they were being humiliated by Konoha. With Sumui tying with Haku and Karui and Omoi losing their respected matches against Sai and Sasuke, only Yugito was left to compete. Damn it, how does Konoha continue to have so many talented shinobi? I did not think he would have mastered the Sharingan to this degree, the Reikage thought angrily. If only Sumui had won her match against that Hyoten ice-released girl, Omoi's loss wouldn't have mattered. Seeing the annoyed look on his leader's face, C decided to calm the Reikage down. "Reikage-sama, I know this isn't how you expected things to turn out, but still there is no need to be worried. Yugito is still in the exam, and regardless of how skilled the genin in this exam are, none of them are strong enough to defeat Yugito, not even Tsunade's Jinchuriki Gaara." When C had finished, the Reikage nodded in agreement. His plan could still work, as he was positive that Yugito could win the exam and defeat both Naruto and Sasuke. After finished talking with C, the Reikage's attention was suddenly turned to the other cages who were speaking to him. "I apologize, Hokage-sama, but could you repeat that?" the Reikage asked, as I'm afraid my attention was drawn elsewhere. "Yes, well, the other cages and I were discussing the events of the match, and were discussing whether or not to recommend your genin Omoi to become a chunin. Since Sasuke is no longer qualified, and we were wondering if you agree with our assessment," the Sandaime said. "Of course, and what have you decided?" the Reikage asked. "We decided that even though your genin Omoi-san showed impressive skill as both a shinobi and as a swordsman, not to mention remarkable resourcefulness in his battle against Uchiha Sasuke, he still needs a little more seasoning as a shinobi before qualifying as a chunin. Nodding at this, the Raikage simply said he agreed with their assessment and then turned to look down into the arena and waited for the next match to start. In the finalist box. Too bad Omoi, you were close, but Sasuke was better, Naruto thought sadly as he saw his Kumo friend being taken away by the medic on a stretcher. If I hadn't used the same trick against Sasuke when he went out of control from the curse seal, it might have worked and Omoi would have won. Damn it, that idiot Omoi blew it, Karui yelled angrily as slammed her fist on the railing. If he hadn't been so cautious and had been more aggressive he could have won. That enough Karui, Yugito said suddenly. We knew there was a possibility that Omoi would lose against Uchiha Sasuke given his skill level. Omoi was not at fault here, he did his best and the fact is you cannot criticize him, as you lost your match as well. In fact if you had been a little more cautious and had not let your opponent provoke you, you might not have lost your match. At the same time Yugito was also thinking, things aren't going as well as we had hoped. Uchiha Sasuke is just as skilled and the rumors say, although I'm certain he hasn't shown his true abilities yet. Omoi's loss wasn't entirely unexpected, but I had hoped that Omoi would have injured or worn Uchiha Sasuke out enough for Sumui to defeat him in the second round. But with Sumui drawing with Yuki Haku, that is no longer possible and now I'm the only one left. After being told off by Yugito, Karui blushed red from embarrassment and anger, which grew when she glanced at Sai, who was standing not far from her and gave her another one of his fake smiles after hearing her being told off. Eventually after making his way up the stairs Sasuke arrived in the finalist box, where he made his way to the railings, where Naruto and the others were. Well, nice of you to finally appear Uchiha, you sure took your sweet time, Naruto greeted with a small smile. Nice to see you too Senju, as for being late, you can blame Kakashi-sensei for that, the Uchiha heir replied, as he stood next to the blonde. Yay, I figured as much, the male Senju replied with a scoff. So I'm guessing since you're here and Hyuga Neji isn't, that you won your match. Of course, as if I lose that fate believe prick, Naruto answered with a frown since he was still rather angry at Neji for trying to kill Hinata. This was of course no real surprise to Sasuke, since he was one of the few people who knew just how strong Naruto really was. It was also at this point that he finally took notice of Naruto's new attire. I see that you went for a new look. I could say the same thing about you, Naruto remarked. What's with the coat, trying to be like the Yondaime? Sasuke asked, since he knew that Naruto greatly admired the former Hokage and wanted to be like him. Something Sasuke found a bit funny, given the strong resemblance between the two of them, which was only highlighted with the coat on. Hey, nah, just something Ero-Sennin gave me before the exam, Naruto replied with a smirk. Hearing this Sasuke just shrugged not really caring that much and began to look around the box at the remaining candidates. Naruto of course explained that Karui, Kankuro and Shikamaru had all lost their matches and that Dosu hadn't shown up for his match against Gaara. While the others remaining finalists were with the medics, recovering from their injuries after losing their matches. Nodding at this, Sasuke was slightly surprised to see that neither Sumui nor Haku was here. Since he knew that their match was after his and that he would have to fight the winner of their match. I don't see Haku or that Kumo girl Sumui, didn't they show up? Oh yay that's right, Naruto said, since you hadn't shown, the Hokage and the other cages decided to put your match on hold and have Haku's and Sumui's match, while we waited for you and Kakashi-sensei to appear. It was actually a hell of a battle, where they were pretty even with one another. Even more surprisingly was that, during the battle, Sumui revealed that she had a bloodline limit as well, something I didn't even know about. A bloodline limit, Sasuke repeated in surprise, where Naruto just nodded. Yay, it's called Ranton Storm Release, and it allows her to fire powerful beams of energy. She was able to use this to completely destroy Haku's Makyo Hyosho, demonic mirroring ice crystals. Naturally Sasuke was surprised to hear this, since he knew firsthand how deadly Haku's Makyo Hyosho was and how strong the mirrors were. But before he could comment further on what Naruto had told him, the blonde continued. Also you saw all the water around the arena and the large hole directly below the stands. Naruto asked where Sasuke nodded. Well the water all came from Haku's last attack, which was a massive dragon made out of ice that froze everything it touched. The large hole in the wall below the stands was made by Sumui's last attack, which was a massive beam of energy that destroyed Haku's ice dragon in an instant. I thought that you did that, using that insane strength of your, Sasuke said, since he had noticed the damage done to the arena walls when he first arrived. Actually, I made the one over there, a slightly embarrassed Naruto said, where he pointed to a large but smaller hole in the wall at the opposite end of the arena from them. After hearing this, a large frown appeared on Sasuke's face, since Senju had proven to be even stronger than Sasuke had originally expected. It was also obvious that Haku had become a great deal stronger from when they fought at Nami no Kuni Wave Country. Who won? Actually, that was the most surprising thing. It ended in a draw. Senju was able to knock Haku out with a lightning clone. But she in turn was caught in the aftereffects of Haku's ice dragon, where her body froze. When the Uchiha heard this, his frown only deepened, since he had wanted to fight both of them. Haku because she had defeated him at Nami no Kuni, and Senju because when he had first met her, he could tell that she was strong and wanted to test himself against her. When Naruto saw the frown, he of course knew why Sasuke was annoyed by the events, since with Haku and Senju now out, he would automatically move to the third round of the finals. Now normally a person would welcome this, but Sasuke wasn't like most people. He enjoyed the challenge of a good fight and to test himself against strong opponents. This was of course something that both he and Naruto had in common, since like Sasuke, Naruto welcomed the chance to fight strong opponents and to become stronger. But before he could say anything to the Uchiha, he suddenly heard Genma speak down in the arena. In the arena, with the first round matches finally completed, these will make up the matches for round 2. The first match will be between Temari of Tsunade Hidden Sand versus Senju Naruto of Konohagakure. The second match will be Ni Yugito of Kumogaku Hidden Cloud versus Sai of Konohagakure. The third match will be Gaara of Tsunade versus Aburame Shino of Konohagakure. Uchiha Sasuke will automatically proceed to round 3, due to the double knockout in the match between Yuki Haku of Kirigakure Hidden Mist and Senju of Kumogakure. At hearing this, the crowd erupted into loud cheers, where people quickly began to place their bets for the next match. After a few minutes, once the crowd had settled down, Genma spoke again. Now will Temari of Tsunade and Senju Naruto of Konohagakure please come down to begin the next match? In the cage box. So it's your daughter against Senju Naruto, Kazekage-sama. The Mizukage said, as she turned to look at the cage from Suna. Yes, so it seems, the Kazekage replied. It should prove to be an entertaining match, as my daughter is a powerful wind user, as you saw early. When Tsunade heard this, she just smirked and held her betting slip on Naruto tightly. The girl may be good at using wind jutsu, but so is Naru-chan. In the finalist box. After hearing her name being called, Temari started to get worried. Damn it, what the hell are they waiting for now? Both the Uchiha and the Senju kids are here. The operation should have started by now. Hey Temari, maybe you should forfeit. Your battle isn't that important. All we were told was that both the Senju and Uchiha kids had to be here and there, Kankuro whispered in his sister's ear. Hearing this, Temari just nodded, believing that her younger brother was right, since it didn't matter if she won or lost the Chunin exam. The only reason she fought last time was so not to draw too much attention to them as they waited for the invasion to begin, while at the same time buy time for Sasuke to arrive, who was now here. There was also the fact that she didn't have much chakra left after her long fight with Shikamaru. Just when Temari was about to tell Genma that she was going to forfeit, she suddenly heard Naruto call out to her. Hey fangirl, don't tell me you're chickening out already, like your pansy brother did. What did you say, you brat? Kankuro yelled angrily. You heard me, as only a pansy would wear that much makeup on his face, not to mention spends all his time playing with dolls and quit right when his match was about to start, mocked Naruto. It's war paint, not makeup, and they aren't dolls, they're puppets. A furious Kankuro yelled as he was about 2 steps away from using Crow on Naruto. Tisk, tomato, tomato, same thing. Naruto said as he waved his hands in a mocking way. You must really be bad at finding yourself a girlfriend, or is that you prefer to play with your dolls? Getting the meaning of what Naruto said, Kankuro turned bright red with rage, and roared, I'll KKIIILLLLYYYYOOOOUUU. Quickly sidestepping the puppet user as he lunged at him and causing him to trip, Naruto jumped onto the railing and turned to Temari. So how about it, fangirl? Do you want to finish what we started at the preliminaries, or are you going to chicken out when faced with a real shinobi? Gritting her teeth in anger, Temari reined in her temper at Naruto's remarks, as she had their mission to complete. At the same time, not far from the Senju heir, Yugito stared at the blonde boy with a small frown. "What are you up to, Naruto?" Since she knew this wasn't like him. Seeing that he was getting to Temari, Naruto pushed further by smirking arrogantly. "Yeah, I thought as much. I would expect nothing less from a cowardly Tsunade, who only picks on little kids and fights defenseless opponents. It's no wonder Suna has become so weak with Kunoiki like you. Then again, you're just a weak little girl, from a third-rate village who hides behind her." Naruto said, but before he could finish insults, a massive burst of wind erupted in the finalist box and blew Naruto off the railing and into the arena. "Shit," Sasuke thought, as he raised his arms up to protect his face from the wind and tried to keep himself from blow away. "Damn it, Naruto, now you've done it, you've seriously pissed her off," Shikamaru thought as he did the same thing as Sasuke. "Fuck, she's lost it," Kankuro thought, who was struggling against the wind his sister created. Gaara for his part just watched, as his sand protected him from the wind and was mildly amused by how Naruto goaded his sister. "That's it. I've heard enough," roared the furious Suna Kunoiki, as she held her now fully open fan. "If you want a fight so bad, I give it to you, and shut that smart mouth of yours once and for all." After being blown out of the finalist box, Naruto quickly recovered by performing a mid-air backflip, allowing him to land gracefully on the ground in the middle of the arena next to Genma. "Well, that was quick," the Konoha examiner remarked inside his head. At the same time, a still smirking Naruto looked up at the angry Temari, who was now standing on top of the railings glaring at him. "Too easy," Naruto thought, as he looked up at the angry Suna Kunoiki. "She may be a level-headed shinobi most of the time, but if you push the right buttons, she's more hot-headed than her brother. Ka-chan always did say I had a knack for pissing people off. Now that I stopped her from forfeiting, I can find out what Suna is really up to in the exam." Seeing Naruto was unharmed and still had that annoying smirk of his, the blonde-haired Kunoiki growled angrily and quickly jumped down to the arena. Kankuro of course tried to stop her by saying, "No, Temari, wait. Don't you see? He's baiting you." But it was too late, as all Temari could see what read and think on how she was going to crush the smart-mouthed Senju for his insults. In the cage box. Your daughter seems to be more eager to fight than last time," Kazekage-sama May remarked after seeing Naruto be blown out of the finalist box and Temari following after him. "So it seems, although I must wonder what has gotten into her, as she is not normally like this," the Suna Kage replied. "Knowing the brat, he probably said or did something to piss her off," Jiraiya said, since given his vast experience, he knew an angry Kunoiki when he saw one. In the arena. "Damn, and I thought she was eager before," Genma thought when he saw Temari land on the ground with a large gust of wind. Although he quickly realized why Temari was acting this way, when he saw the blonde Kunoiki glare murderously at the other blonde next to him. "Well, since you are both here now, I think we can get the match started," Genma said. "Before we begin, Genma-san, could you hold on 1 second, Naruto said, where he then went inside his coat behind his back and took out a small pill bottle and threw it to Temari, who caught it. "What's this?" Temari asked angrily. "It's a pill bottle, I thought that would be obvious," Naruto said to her as if she was stupid. Gritted her teeth and her fan tightly, the Suna Kunoiki glared at the male blonde. "I know it's a damn pill bottle, I'm asking what's in it." "Soldier pills," answered Naruto. "Soldier's pills," Temari repeated in surprise. "To restore your chakra, since you probably don't have much left after amount you wasted when you fought Shikamaru and after he let you win," Naruto replied, further antagonizing Temari, who was still angry over how Shikamaru forfeited after he had her. "Do you think I'm stupid or something, Senju?" Is that a trick question?" Naruto asked with a goofy-looking smile, causing Temari to glare even more. "You think I actually take your word for it? For all I know, they could be poison, making it easier for you to beat me. I don't need tricks like that to beat someone like you, especially with the way you are now. I want this to be a fair fight, so that when I beat you won't have any excuses, like being low on chakra or being worn out. I'm going to defeat you the same way you beat Tenten-chan, you're going to lose without even laying a figure on me, and you're going to know what it feels like to be completely helpless against an opponent." Aren't we arrogant?" Temari remarked. "I prefer the term confident," Naruto replied, "but if you still don't trust me, then just give me one, it doesn't matter." Raising her eyebrow, Temari decided to do it and poured the pills from the bottle into her hand, where she then threw one of the pills from the bottom of the bottle. After catching the pill, Naruto then placed the pill into his mouth and swallowed it. He then opened his mouth again to show his female opponent that he had indeed swallowed it. Seeing this, Temari waited a few minutes to see if anything would happen. Seeing that nothing was happening to Naruto, Temari decided to take the risk, as she had nothing else to lose, and swallowed one of the pills and poured the rest back into the bottle and threw it back to Naruto. Within a few seconds, Temari felt her body filled up with chakra again and found that her body didn't feel tired anymore. In the cage box. Your son just threw away a huge advantage, Tsunade-sama, the Reikage commented. Yes, I know Naruto has a rather strong sense of honor when it comes to fights like these. He hates having an unfair advantage over his opponent. Since he prefers to fight them on even terms, Tsunade replied with a slight frown. Well, we'll see if this doesn't backfire on him, the Reikage said, who found Naruto action naive and slightly foolish. Although at the same time he could not help but respect it, as he could understand the desire to want to have a fair fight with someone. With the audience. Why did Naruto-kun do that? Rurochio asked in confusion. Now he will have a harder time fighting her. It because beating her the way she is now, would be hollow, Kensai said, gaining the Fire Princess and her grandparents' attention. Naruto wants a fair fight and beat her when she is at her best. Since there is no satisfaction when beating a weakened opponent. 2. It seems that young Naruto-kun has inherited your sense of honor, Kensai-san, the Fire Daimyo remarked with an amused smile. It does indeed, the young samurai remarked with a small smile of pride at his one-time student. In the arena. Once Temari had recovered her chakra and Naruto had put away the pill bottle, Genma asked them both if they were ready, where the two blondes just responded with a nod, as they watched each other closely. Seeing this, Genma nodded his own head and raised his arm into the air and said, then let the first match of round 2 begin. As he swung his arm down. Wasting no time, Temari struck first by swinging her fan, creating a massive gust of wind that hit Naruto dead on. But when the wind attack hit the blonde boy, Naruto reverted into a piece of wood, revealing he had replaced himself. Upon seeing this, Temari quickly jumped away, narrowly avoiding several shuriken that came at her from behind. She then turned around with her fan open to protect her from any more projectiles, and upon seeing the spiky-haired blonde, fired another blast at wind at him. Seeing the wind blast, Naruto quickly channeled his chakra into his katana and converted it into wind. He then swung his katana downward and yelled, Sarasu Fu, wind slash. Creating a crescent-shaped blade of wind that sliced through Temari's attack, causing it to dissipate. Shit. Temari thought, before she jumped to her right, barely escaping the deadly wind blade. Damn it, I was careless, I let my emotions get the better of me. How could I forget that he was a wind user as well? After evading Naruto's attack, Temari saw that Naruto had sheathed his katana and was now preforming several hand seals. Not wanting to give Naruto any more of an advantage than he already had, Temari lifted her fan and prepared to fire another blast of wind. But before she could fully swing her fan, Naruto finished his hand seals. After which several dozen vines erupted from the ground and wrapped themselves around Temari's body, preventing her from moving and forcing her to drop her fan. What is this? Temari cried, as she felt the vines squeezing her. A little technique I learned from my sensei Kurenai, Naruto replied as he slowly walked towards Temari. Now then, fangirl, I have some questions for you and you better answer them truthfully. In the audience. What's going on? Ino asked suddenly, why have they stopped fighting? And why did that girl just drop her fan so suddenly? My guess would be that Naruto has her under a genjutsu, am I right, Kurenai? Kushina said as she turned to her fellow female jonin. Yes, and if given the hand seals he just used, I would say he's using Magen, Hushiban demonic illusion, binding vines which I taught him several months ago. 3. What is that technique? Sakura asked. It's a technique that allows the user to create an illusion of vines around the target. Thereby the victim will be tormented with the sensation being squeezed tightly by vines, while at the same time taking away the body's freedom. It's quite useful when wanting to capture or interrogate an enemy, Kurenai replied. When the two girls heard this, they shared concerned looks along with Hinata, who already knew about the jutsu, since it was clearly a jutsu that they wouldn't want to be under. At the same time, both Kurenai and Kushina were wondering why Naruto placed Temari under that genjutsu, since there were many other more effective jutsu to defeat Temari with. In the arena, "Damn you," Temari hissed angrily, as she glared at the blonde boy who had her trapped. "Curse me all you want, fangirl, but the truth is that you let your anger and your pride rule you, and that is why you're in this position." Naruto replied. "Now tell me, is your brother Gaara the Jinchuriki of the Ichibi no Shukaku, one-tailed Shukaku?" At this question a look of shock appeared on the Suna girl's face and thought, how does he know about Gaara? But she quickly hid her surprise so not to give it away. "I don't know what you're talking about," the girl replied before she screamed out in pain as the vines tightened around her. "I thought I told you not to lie to me," Naruto said coldly. "I'm not lying," Temari yelled. "Yes you are," Naruto replied. "I'm a trained medic, so I know when people are lying to me, by watching their body's involuntary reactions. Like for example, one way to tell when a person is lying is by their eyes. Since when people tell the truth, like remembering their favorite book, their pupils dilate and their eyes involuntarily move up and to the left, accessing the visual cortex of their brain, therefore they are telling the truth. But if a person's eyes go up and to the right, then you are accessing the creative side of your brain, therefore you're lying." At this a look of fear and surprise appeared on Temari's face, although what she didn't know was that Naruto himself was lying. Since what he said was just junk and he couldn't really tell when people were lying. He just wanted Temari to think he could tell when she was lying, which was why he asked about Gaara being a Jinchuriki, when he already knew he was. This way when he asked his real questions she would be less likely to lie. "Now then, fangirl, I ask you again, is your brother Gaara the Jinchuriki of the Ichibi no Shukaku?" At this question Temari could feel the vines tighten around her again, squeezing the life out of her. After a minute or so, Temari could take no more and yelled, "Yes he is." After which the vines loosened a little, allowing her to breathe. "Good, that's one question out of the way, now on to the next one. Tell me your orders regarding Sasuke and me." "What?" the girls asked in surprise. "Do you think I am an idiot? It's no coincidence that Suna enters its Jinchuriki to the Chunin exam when both Sasuke and I are in it. Not to mention the fact that your village is suffering a decline in strength, thanks to your daimyo reducing your funding and mission requests. You have orders regarding us, and I want to know them. Damn it, he's on to us. How does he know so much?" A panicking Temari thought, before she felt the vines squeezing her body again. "Now tell me, what are your orders regarding Sasuke and I? Were you ordered to kill us in the exam?" Naruto asked. I don't know what you're talking about, www don't have any gar. Temari said before she cried out in pain, as the vines began to squeeze her tighter. "I told you not to lie to me," Naruto said coldly, as he had seen the relieved look on both Kankuro's and Temari's faces, when he first arrived and again when Sasuke arrived. His mother and Jiraiya even said that it was very likely that Gaara was sent into the exam to kill them. Since it made the most sense as to why Suna would send someone as unstable as Gaara into the Chunin exam. "I know that you want us for something and I know it involves some kind of plan. I overheard you and your brother talking about a plan as we were waiting for Sasuke to appear, now tell me what your orders are regarding us," Naruto demanded, as he didn't like doing this. Since as both a person and as a medic, he didn't enjoy seeing people suffer or being the cause of it, in fact he hated it. But the reality was he needed to know what Suna had planned for Sasuke and him, in the event that they had some other goal they weren't aware of. This was why he wanted to get his answers as quickly as possible so that he could end this. "Just tell me what I want to know, despite what you may think of me, I don't enjoy this. So the sooner you tell me the quicker this ends. Now tell me what are your orders regarding Sasuke and me." After about a minute or so of squeezing from the vines Temari final broke. Our orders were to monitor you both and to make sure that the two of you made it to the finals, that's it, I don't know anymore, I swear. "And what is your plan? Why did your village send your brother and why do they want us in the finals?" Naruto asked. Feeling the vines squeezing tighter, Temari tried to think of way to get out of her. I need to do something fast, I don't know how much more I can take. If I lie he'll know it, but if I tell him the truth, our mission fails, Temari thought. This has to be some kind of genjutsu, as it's the only explanation as to where these vines came from. But how do I get free, when my hands are bound like this? As Temari tried to think of a way to free herself from the genjutsu, she suddenly remembered something her sensei told her not long after her team was first formed. Flashback. Temari. Baki said, "Can you tell me how you escape from an opponent's genjutsu? A. You need to stop the flow of chakra in your body, and then apply an even stronger power to disrupt the flow of the caster's chakra. This is called genjutsu kai genjutsu dissipation," Temari replied. Very good, Baki said with a nod, although another way to combat genjutsu is to have a partner. Why's that? Kankuro asked, who was sitting next to his elder sister. It helps, because if your partner is unaffected by the enemy's genjutsu, they can free you from it by applying a sudden surge of chakra into your body. This will of course have the same effect as using genjutsu kai. But what if you don't have a partner? What could you do then? Temari asked. The best solution, which is also the easiest, is pain, Baki answered. Pain. The two siblings repeated as confusion. Yes, intense pain not caused by the genjutsu, like stabbing or cutting yourself, is the best way to break you from a genjutsu. Remember that when you are in trouble and you can escape most genjutsu. End flashback. After remembering this, Temari quickly bit down on her lip hard, causing it to bleed. The pain was brief, but it was enough to free her from the genjutsu, allowing her to move, after which she quickly picked up her fan and channeled her wind chakra into it before yelling, "Kamaiteki no Jutsu," sickle weasel technique. Acting fast, Naruto quickly jumped up into the air to avoid the powerful blast. Shit. Looks like she's more resourceful than I gave her credit for, guess I won't get my answers. Now I have to move to plan B. In the audience. Looks like she escaped Naruto's genjutsu, Asuma commented. Yes, so it seems, although I cannot help but wonder what was happening when she was under Naruto's genjutsu. Since Naruto could have easily knocked her out when she was under the spell, but he didn't for some reason, Kurenai replied. Kurenai was of course not the only one who was wondering this, as both Naruto-sensei's Yamato and Kushina were wondering the same thing. In the arena, after avoid Temari's attack, Naruto landed back on the ground where he then released his Shishiomo Mizuke Shiru, 4 limbs waiting seals, allowing him to move at his full speed. Seeing that Naruto avoided her attack, Temari spun around and swung her fan again. But like before, Naruto avoided her attack, by using his high speed to move out of the way. Tisk, I missed again, Temari thought angrily, but quickly calmed down, knowing what happened last time she got angry. I'm afraid you missed again, fangirl, a familiar voice said behind her. When the blonde girl turned, she was found Naruto leaning against the arena wall several meters from her with the same annoying smirk he had earlier. Not wasting any time, Temari immediately swung her fan at Naruto, creating yet another vortex of wind. But yet again Naruto evaded the powerful wind attack, using his superior speed, and appeared on the Tsunade girl's right-hand side, several meters from her. You should really try a new thing called aiming, it can do wonders, where you might actually hit me, Naruto said after reappearing again. Damn you, just hold still. Temari yelled as she sent another blast at the blonde Konoha Nin, who again avoided it and appeared at another end of the arena. And why should I do that? Naruto asked when he reappeared again. This continued for several minutes, where each time Temari would send a blast of wind at the blonde Senju and each time he would avoid the blast. After a while, a thin layer of dust caused by Temari's various wind attacks began to cover the arena, although it wasn't thick enough to obstruct people's view of the fight. Damn you, Pant, do you intend to fight back at all? Temari said angrily as she was starting to get tired from using her fan so much. She of course knew she shouldn't let Naruto's taunts get to her, but there was just something about the blonde Senju that got under her skin. Why would I do something like that? You're doing a pretty good job at wearing yourself out, Naruto said as he appeared directly in front of Temari, causing the girl to jump back a few feet in surprise. Besides, you've already given me the perfect way to beat you. What do you mean? Temari asked in confusion. I mean this, Naruto said as he performed several hand seals and slammed his hand onto the ground while saying, Doten, Dogenheki, Earth style, Earth encampment wall. B. After saying this, 4 large walls made out of earth formed around Temari and Naruto in a square formation. What's going on? What are you doing? Temari yelled in confusion. Tell me, fangirl, have you ever heard of a dust explosion? Naruto asked. A dust explosion? Yes, a dust explosion is the fast combustion of dust particles suspended in the air in an enclosed location, Like this one we are in, and as you can see we are surrounded by dust, thanks to all the wind attacks you preformed. Naruto said. Seeing this, fear suddenly crept into Temari's eyes as she realized that Naruto had tricked her. But before she could say anything, Naruto continued with his explanation. Now dust explosions don't happen with just regular dust, even in an enclosed space like this. There has to be a large amount of certain kind of dust like coal dust, grain, flour, sugar, or in our case pollen, and since it's the middle of summer and my village is the middle of a vast forest, there is a lot of pollen in the air, more even thanks to your wind attacks. All that's needed is a little spark and everything inside this square goes boom. Wait. If you do that, then you'll be caught in the explosion with me. Temari yelled, as she tried to stop Naruto. At this, Naruto just smiled and said, "Oh, didn't I tell you, I'm a clone." Afterward he held up his right index finger and generated some chakra into it before converting it into lightning. This then ignited the dust cloud, and caused a small explosion, destroying the encampment wall and sending Temari flying into the arena wall. After the explosion, the real Naruto appeared, who had been watching everything safely outside the encampment wall. Luckily for Temari, the amount of pollen in the dust cloud wasn't high enough to cause a large explosion. But it was high enough to cause a small one, which destroyed the earth encampment and sent Temari crashing into the arena wall, wounding her badly, where she had several cuts, bruises and burns on her body. "You've lost, fangirl, I suggest you give up," Naruto said as he stared coolly at the Suna Kanoiki and slowly walked towards her. Angered by how much Naruto had humiliated her, and ignoring her injuries that she suffered from the blast, Temari slowly stood up, using her now folded fan to help her up. "You haven't won yet," the girl replied, where she then charged forward with her fan raised and planned to us it like a club against Naruto. Seeing this, Naruto just shook his head and thought, why do I keep getting the stubborn idiots? As Temari drew closer, Naruto preformed a series of one-handed hand seals, which then caused his right hand to be covered in chakra. Once the Suna girl was close enough, Naruto moved forward with startling speed. When Temari saw this, she tried to hit the blonde with her fan, only to miss as he sidestepped it. He then used his Chakra no Mesu chakra scalpel to sever the tendons in Temari's right arm, causing her to drop the oversized fan. After which he then preformed a leg sweep, causing the female blonde to fall on her back, where Naruto then placed his foot on her stomach and redrew his katana and held it directly above her face. Not nice, is it? To be so helpless, unable to do anything, while another hold your fate in their hands. Perhaps I should show you the same kindness you showed Tenten-chan when you defeated her in the preliminaries. Naruto said as he stood over the girl and could see the fear in her eyes. But luckily for you, I'm not that kind of person. After Naruto said this, Genma walked over to the two, and upon seeing that Temari was basically at Naruto's mercy and could no longer fight, he decided to end the match. Temari of Tsunade can no longer continue. The winner of the first match of round 2 is Senju Naruto. After Naruto was declared the winner, the audience once again erupted into a thunderous applause, where people cheered loudly at Naruto being announced the winner. As soon as he was declared the winner, Naruto lifted his foot off Temari's stomach and sheathed his katana, where he then proceeded to walk back to the finalist box. As Naruto slowly walked away, he suddenly stopped and glanced back at Temari, who was slowly lifting herself up. "I suggest that you remember what happened here today, fangirl, and remember what it feels like to be on the other foot. Before you ever try anything like what you did at the preliminaries again," Naruto said before turning his back to her and heading back up to the finalist box. Hoping that after her defeat today, Temari would have learned a little humility and would treat others with a little more respect than she did before. In the cage box. "That was a very interesting match, wouldn't you agree, Kazekage-sama?" the Mizukage said. "Indeed it was, despite the fact that my daughter lost," the Tsunkage replied, "although I must confess I was rather impressed with the unique way he defeated her." "Yes, well, if you ask me, the boy was rather cocky," the Reikage commented. "He could have easily defeated her, yet he gave her a soldier pill to replenish her chakra reserves. It could have easily backfired on him and cost him the match." "That is indeed true, Reikage-sama," the Sandaime replied. But to be fair, Naruto-kun had the match in hand. Not once did he lose his composure, and given the way he defeated the Kazekage's daughter, it showed that he knew what he was doing the entire time and had complete control of the battle. That is indeed true, Hokage-sama, although what I would like to know is what happened between Naruto-san and Temari-san when he had her under his genjutsu, the female Kage replied. The other Kages all nodded at this, since many of them including Jiraiya and Tsunade were curious as to what happened when Naruto had Temari in his genjutsu. In the finalist box. After making his way up the stairs, Naruto arrived at the finalist box, where Shino, Shikamaru and even Sasuke congratulated him on his win over Temari. Naturally Kankuro didn't look very pleased, given what Naruto said to him earlier and because he defeated his sister. Gaara on the other hand didn't seem to care that his sister lost, in fact, he actually seemed pleased that his sister lost to Naruto. Impressive win, Yugito said as she walked over to Naruto to congratulate him. Thanks. Naruto replied. Although if you ask me, you were a little overconfident when you fought her, especially when you gave her the soldier pill, Yugito said. Yay. Well, I needed her to be a full strength, since I wanted to give her a dose of her own medicine, after what she did at the preliminaries. She'll think twice before doing that again, given how she now knows what it feels like to be helpless. Maybe, but one thing is for certain, it won't be a fight she will forget soon, the blonde Kumonin replied, where she looked over at Temari, who had just entered the box and glared at Naruto before walking over to her siblings. You all right, sis? Kankuro asked in a low voice. I'm fine, Temari replied, as the medics healed her more serious injuries and she could move her arm again. But we have a more serious problem to deal with. What do you mean? The puppet user asked. Senju Naruto, he's even more dangerous than we expected. How so? Asked Kankuro in confusion. He's onto us. He knows that Gaara holds the Shukaku. But that's impossible, how does he know that? Kankuro asked in a loud whisper. I don't know, he's more resourceful than we expected. He also knows that we are targeting him and the Uchiha, and he knows that our village is on the decline thanks to the wind daimyo. Damn it, how does he know so much? Does he know about the plan? Kankuro asked in concern. I don't know how he knows what he knows, but he doesn't know about the operation or what we are planning. He only suspects something, that's why he placed me under a genjutsu, he tried to get it out of me, but I was able to escape before he could, Temari replied. When Kankuro heard this he frowned, although he was grateful that Temari was able to escape before she could give anything away. The fact that Naruto suspected them worried him, since it meant that Konoha was probably onto them as well, and that the mission was in jeopardy. Fuck, what the hell are they waiting for? If they don't act soon, the entire mission could fail, Kankuro thought, since his nerves couldn't stand all the waiting. Temari, I think we should tell Baki-sensei that Senju is onto us. No, we can't, the elder blonde replied. We don't know how much Konoha really knows. If we go to Baki-sensei and warn him about Senju, it could compromise the entire operation. The operation may already be compromised. Kankuro retorted with a hiss. And what can he do? Temari rounded in a low voice. He can't stop the entire attack, as it is too far gone and could begin at any time. All we can do is wait and see and hope we can still pull it off. When Temari said this, her brother frowned. He didn't like it, but he did understand what his sister was saying. There was nothing they could do. They would just have to do the duty and see what happens. After a few minutes the finalist heard Genma again. Will Yugito of Kumogaku and Sai of Konohagakure please come down to begin the next match? Hearing his name being called, Sai Shunshin's body flickered down to the arena, next to Genma, while Yugito jumped off the railings down to the arena. But before she left, both Karui and Naruto wished her luck in her match, although Karui also told Yugito to beat the shit out of Sai for her. In the arena, once the two genin were in their respected positions, facing one another, Genma asked them if they were ready. When both genin nodded, Genma then said, let the second match of round 2 begin. And swung his arm down. As soon as Genma said, begin, the two genin raced forward and drew their individual swords. Yugito struck first with her katana where she attempted to stab Sai, only for him to deflect the stab with his own sword, after which he then ducked under a slash from Yugito. But as soon as he stood back up and attempted to strike back, he was kicked in the chest by Yugito, forcing him back a few feet, where he was then forced to bring up his sword and block a downward slash from the blonde girl. For the next few minutes the two genin continued like this, where they would each try to gain the edge over the other. But each time they avoided, deflected or simply blocked the other's attacks. As the fight continued, Sai blocked another of Yugito's slashes, where a battle for dominance erupted between the two, where they each tried to push the other back. Deciding to take advantage of the fact that she had Sai staying in one place, Yugito had her right hand let go of her sword and used her chakra to increase the length and durability of her nails, turning them into claws, where she then attempted to slash at Sai. Seeing this, Sai quickly jumped back and barely avoided the sharp claws. With her new added weapon, the battle quickly turned to Yugito's favor where, Sai was force of the defensive, where all he could do was block or avoid Yugito's hits. But after a while even that became difficult, as Yugito proved to be much faster and more agile than the root nin. After deflected another of Yugito's double strikes, the blonde girl saw an opening, where she performed an prefect roundhouse kick that sent Sai flying back. But before Yugito could take full advantage of this, Sai quickly recovered and preformed a backwards flip, allowing him to block another of Yugito's strike. It seems that our intel of the Nibi Jinchuriki was correct. She has been very well trained. Even with my advanced training from Danzo-sama, she is still forcing me back and she is not giving me any opportunity to use my Choju Giga Super Beast imitating drawing, Sai thought as he continued to block Yugito's relentless assaults. As the fight continued, Sai thought back to the meeting he had with his master the day before the finals. Flashback yesterday. You asked for me, Danzo-sama. Sai said as he knelt before his master, after he arrived in the root training room. Yes, I did. It is in regards to your participation into the finals. I do not wish you to lose your match against the Kumo Kanoiki you are facing against. In fact, I want you to defeat her, Danzo said. May I ask why, Danzo-sama? As believe you said it would be best that I lose the match. Since my participation was not important and by losing my fight against the Kumo Kanoiki I would draw less attention to myself, Sai replied. Yes, I know, but I have changed my mind. I want you to win, since in the second round of the finals you will most likely face off against Ni Yugito, who as you know is the Jinchuriki for the Nibi no Bakenako two-tailed monster cat. Do you wish me to kill her? Sai asked, since it would make sense, since by killing her, they would weaken Kumo's military strength and they could do little about it. Since killing was not illegal in the Chunin exam. No, I want you to fight her, since I wish to see the extent of her capabilities and skills, especially before her fight with Senju Naruto. The more you push her, the more she shows her abilities, which will give Senju Naruto an extra edge over her when they fight, for if he defeats her, it will be a humiliating blow to Kumo. So I am helping Senju? Sai asked. In a way yes, but you are also helping Konoha, which is your sworn duty, Danzo replied. If that is the case, then should I wound her since, if I injure her enough she will be weakened, allow Senju to defeat her more easily. That won't be necessary, as I want her to be at her best, as I believe she will be the perfect opponent for young Naruto-kun to face again, where I can see his full capability, Danzo replied, where Sai just nodded and said he understood. End flashback. After avoiding yet another strike from Yugito, he took out and dropped several smoke bombs, causing a large flash and a cloud of smoke, which allowed him to gain some distance from the blonde Kumo Kanoiki. Once he gained some distance from Yugito he quickly took out his scrolls and brush and starting drawing several ink lions and small hawks and had him attack Yugito when she emerged from the smoke. Seeing the ink animals heading straight for her, Yugito quickly sheathed her katana and did some hand seals before thinking, Nezumi Kedama mouse hairball. After thinking this she continually spat out a large number of flaming hairballs that assumed the shape of mice. Within seconds the two attacks hit, where the flaming mice-shaped hairballs exploded and destroyed Sai's ink animals. But just when the smoke settled, several ink snakes appeared out of the ground and wrapped themselves around the blonde girl and bit her in the neck. But just when it looked like the match was over, Yugito reverted into lightning, destroying the snakes, revealing that she was a lightning clone. Seeing this, Sai quickly figured that she had replaced herself with a clone after he created the smoke screen to allow him to put some distance between them. But before he could start looking for her, the real Yugito appeared behind him and stabbed him in the back. Too bad, you lose, the blonde Kanoiki said before a look of surprise appeared on her face when she saw Sai revert into ink, revealing that he had used the Sumi Bunshin no Jutsu ink clone technique. After realizing this, Yugito's senses warned her of danger and she immediately jumped forward, narrowly avoiding several shuriken that appeared out of nowhere. Once she had avoided the projectiles, Yugito barely avoided it, stabbed through the head from Sai, who suddenly appeared in front of her, after using the Sumigasumi no Jutsu ink mist technique to hide. "You're not the only one who can use clones," Sai said with his usual annoying fake smile before kneeing the older girl in the stomach, where he then attempted to finish her off with a stab in the back, as she bended over. But before he could finish the job, the female genin rolled to the side to avoid the stab, after which she had her nails turn into claws again and attacked Sai with savage-like fury. Forced on the defensive again, Sai did his best to fend the girl off, but before long he was being overwhelmed again by her superior speed and agility. After avoiding another of the female Jinchuriki's slashes, Sai took out some kunai, and threw them at her, forcing her to jump back. Although when she did this, she had her nails return to normal, after which she started to perform some hand seals and then thought Kaiten, Hanako, fire style, ash cat. See, after which the female blonde spewed out a large stream of ash from her mouth, which took the shape of a large cat before flying towards Sai with impressive speed. Not good, thought the young shinobi artist before he took out his scroll and brush again and began to draw. But just when the attack enveloped him, a dark object flew out of the cloud. Where Yugito looked up, she saw Sai riding on his large ink eagle. "Shit," cursed Yugito, before Sai dropped several kunai with exploding notes tied to them. Wasting no time, Yugito moved out of the kunai path and tried to get out of the blast radius of the notes. After the notes exploded, the arena became filled with dust and smoke, blocking both Sai's and the audience view of Yugito. But before the smoke clouds could settle, a large wave of flaming mice-shaped hairballs erupted from the smoke-filled arena, and spilt into two groups and flew towards Sai at startling speed from different directions. Shit, Sai thought before he had his ink bird do a power dive to avoid the flaming hairballs and causing them to collide with one another and explode. Although some were able to escape and pursued after him, forcing him to jump off his bird, before they could hit the ink eagle and destroy them both. Luckily for the young shinobi, he was not very high off the ground thanks to the power dive he did earlier. But he was sent stumbling across the ground by the blast, caused by the explosion when Yugito's mice hairballs hit his ink eagle. But just as Sai regained his bearings, he was forced to move away and avoid a deadly slash from Yugito's claws when she reappeared next to him. Unfortunately, he was not quite quick enough, where he received a slash to his left side from Yugito's claws. But before she could take advantage of the situation, Sai was able to redraw his Tanto sword and block her next attack with it. After which he then pushed the young girl back. After Sai pushed her back, Yugito leapt back a few feet so to plan her next move. "You're pretty good, I can see why you were able to defeat Karui," Yugito said with a touch of respect for the younger boy. "You not so bad yourself, for a cat girl freak." "What did you just say?" Yugito asked as she narrowed her eyes. "I said you were a catgirl freak, isn't that what you are?" Sai asked with a smile as if it was nothing. "Have even read about girls like you in a strange book I found recently, where you have some kind of strange fetish for cats. It even showed pictures where girls like you wearing scantily clad suits with fake cat ears and tails and say meow for some odd reason." Naturally, when she heard this, the blonde girl blushed with embarrassment and rage. Her rage and embarrassment only grew when the Nibi suggested that she wear something like that, saying that Naruto might like those types of things. In the finalist box, when Karui heard this, an evil-looking smirk appeared on face, knowing what was going to happen next. "Oh, that bastard has done it now, Yugito is going to kill him." At the same time, a large blush appeared on Naruto's face, where an image of Yugito with a long fluffy tail and cat ears crying Naya Naya in the same manner he heard her say before, appeared in his head. 4. Damn it, I really have to stop hanging around Ero Sennin so much. I'm seriously starting to think like him, Naruto thought as he shook his head. Before he started focusing his attention on Sai and Yugito's match, since he knew how much trouble the root agent was in now. In the arena, after a minute or so, Yugito calmed herself down, remembering how Sai enraged Karui in their match and made her become reckless, and figured he was trying the same tactic. Once she calmed herself down, she glared at the still smiling Konoha Nin. "You're going to regret those words," Yugito said coldly, where she prepared to tear Sai apart with her claws. "I think not," Sai said, before turning to Genma, who was standing now far from them, and said, "Protector-san, I give up." "What?" cried Yugito in surprise, where she wasn't alone, as nearly everyone who was watching the match was surprised by the sudden forfeiture of Sai. Are you sure of this? Genma asked. I am. I have a rather nasty wound here and I do not think I can continue, Sai replied, although at the same time thought. My orders were simply to test her capability and to have her show as many of her abilities as I could get her to. If the match continued, something unexpected may happen, and Danzo-sama clearly stated that he wanted her at her best when fighting Senju. Very well then, Sai of Konohagakure has forfeited the match, Ni Yugito of Kumogakure is the winner. See you later, cat freak, Sai said with a wave before he used a shunshin to leave the arena, leaving an annoyed and slight angry Yugito behind. Naturally, the crowd was not very pleased with the sudden forfeiture of Sai, especially since many were enjoying the match, many even booed over what happened. Damn that bastard, I'm beginning to understand why Karui hates him so much, the fuming Kanoiki thought, as she left the arena, since she didn't like winning like this. In the finalist box. Damn that cowardly son of a bitch, he just ran off right when Yugito was going to cream him, Karui said angrily as she was infuriated that Sai had just forfeited the match. Maybe I'm not the only one who finds this tournament troublesome, Shikamaru thought, although I doubt it. What's he up to? Both Sasuke and Naruto thought together, who were suspicious by Sai's sudden forfeiture. In the cage box. Like many others, the four cages were slightly surprised by what happened. Well, I must admit, I'm a bit surprised and in some ways disappointed as the match was very interesting, the Mizukage said. Indeed, although I suppose Sai-san believed it was best for him to forfeit the match given his wound, the Sandaime said. Although didn't believe it for a second, since he suspect his former friend Danzo had some hand in Sai's decision. Perhaps, muttered the Raikage, although he remained suspicious of the dark-haired boy. After the match had ended, the four cages spent the next few minutes discussing whether or not to recommend Sai to be a Chunin. During the discussion, both the Kazekage and Mizukage brought up the fact that Sai had not only shown impressive fighting ability and skill in his matches, but had also shown he could use his ink techniques in very unique ways, allowing him to adapt to various situations, and had shown excellent tactical skills where he played on Karu's emotions and lured her into a trap at the very end. He even showed good judgment by forfeiting the match when wounded, since trying to accomplish a mission when seriously wounded would often result in the failure of a mission or leading teammates to be endangered. Eventually, after much discussion, the cages were divided where both the Mizukage and the Kazekage recommended Sai to be a Chunin, while the Sandaime Hokage and the Raikage stated that they could not. The reason was because the Hokage knew who Sai answered to and was weary of what Sai would do if he was a Chunin and led a team. The Raikage did not recommend Sai because he sensed that there was something off about the boy and did not like it. The two cages were of course not the only ones who were suspicious of Sai's sudden forfeiture, since both Tsunade and Jiraiya were equally suspicious and wondered what Danzo and Sai planning. In the finalist box. Hey Yugito-chan, you okay? Naruto asked when he saw his female friend entered the finalist box. I'm fine, grumbled Yugito, who was still annoyed by Sai's sudden forfeiture and because he called her cat freak. Cowardly bastard, just ran off right when you would have kicked his butt, Karui remarked angrily. I wouldn't be so sure of that, Karui, Naruto answered. Sai is a lot of things, but he is no coward. Agreed, added Sasuke as he joined the conversation. Then why the hell did he suddenly forfeit? The dark-skinned girl asked. Who knows, Sai isn't exactly an easy guy to figure out, Naruto replied, as he keeps everything to himself and most of the time he talks he pisses people off. Sasuke of course nodded in agreement with Naruto, since he was Sai's teammate and yet he knew hardly anything about him. Before Karui could comment on this, the Genin suddenly heard Genma speak. Will Gaara of Sunagakure and Aburame Shino of Konohagakure please come down to begin the next match? Upon hearing his name being called out, Shino went over to the railing and said, Proctor-san, I wish for forfeit my match. This sudden forfeiture of course didn't surprise many people, as most could not blame Shino, given Gaara's ability and what he was like. The only person that seemed to be annoyed by Shino's forfeiture was Gaara, who was eager to fight but had yet to do so. Can't say I blame him, Naruto thought. Shino's bugs would stand no chance against Gaara's sand, not to mention Gaara would most likely kill him. Upon hearing this, Genma just nodded and announced that Shino had forfeited and that Gaara was the winner by default. Naturally, most of the people in the stands did not take this very well and began to yell and boo over it, since many were annoyed by the number of forfeitures in the tournament. In the arena, once Genma declared Gaara the winner, the Tokubutsu Jonin continued to speak, with Gaara of Sunagaku the winner of the third match of round 2. We will move on to round 3, due to Uchiha Sasuke of Konohagakure automatically winning the fourth match, given how he has no opponent to fight against. When this was announced, many were of course not pleased with not seeing Sasuke fight again. But none commented, since Genma had explained earlier why Sasuke would automatically move to the third round. Now then, the first match of round 3 will be Senju Naruto of Konohagakure vs Ni Yugito of Kumogakure, and the second match will be Uchiha Sasuke of Konohagakure vs Gaara of Sunagakure. The winners of these two matches will decide who will face off in the final match of the fourth and final round. So will Senju Naruto and Ni Yugito please come down to begin the next match? In the finalist box, when Genma called Yugito and Naruto's down, the crowd erupted into loud cheers, mainly because many were eager to see the Senju heir fight again. But as excited as the audience was for the upcoming match, none were more excited than the two participants, who turned and smirked at one another when they heard the names being called. "Looks like we're up, Yugito-chan," Naruto said, who pleased that he was now facing Yugito. So it seems, an equally pleased Yugito, since this was the match she had been waiting for, this match ever since the preliminaries ended. "You ready, Tisuke? Do you even have to ask?" Yugito replied, where he fellow blonde just smiled, and the two then walked to the stairway and made their way down to the arena to begin their rematch. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.